Greetings everyone, I am Anurag Verma. I am currently pursuing my BTech degree in IT at NIT Raipur. If you are watching this video right now, you are either genuinely interested in me or you are just watching this in a critical manner. Either ways, you are welcome to watch my self-reflection journey and a deep dive into myself. Am I using my time wisely? I am willing to admit that I have always had lackluster time management and prioritization skills. I cannot seem to ever clearly focus and prioritize on one thing solely. The most important thing for me at the moment is personal growth, which I know is always ongoing. But as it is a direct result of maintaining relations and developing your health, I cannot say that I am prioritizing well. Sometimes I feel so glued and stuck on tasks that won't necessarily help me develop, that I end up missing up on opportunities, chances. I hope and I will work towards being mindful of this moving forward. I've always liked the saying slow and steady wins the race because I firmly believe on the fact that it represents the way I approach life. Right now as well, I feel like I'm taking my time on my train, but I will reach my destination slowly but surely. Am I taking anything for granted? This question has always troubled me as nothing immediately comes to my mind, which definitely implies that I'm taking something in life for granted. When it comes to my personal life and the time I spend with myself at my home, I've recently come to realize that I take electricity in my house for granted. I basically amount to nothing after losing the privilege of electricity and feel it even more when my electronics inevitably shut down. Of course, this was just one aspect of my personal life that I believe I took for granted. If I went on a quest to search for more, I would definitely find multiple other things. As, as for my relationships and health, I often relate the two, and my health ends up taking a toll when my relationships are suffering. I do my best to maintain close relationships with friends and family, especially my friends, because there is a lot of unconditional and unspoken love involved when it comes to family. Ultimately, just like any other aspect of life, you're going to find things that you do take for granted. You just have to look hard enough. If you manage to do that and succeed, you will definitely start to appreciate your life way more than you previously used to. Am I living true to myself? If this question was even asked to me 2 to 3 weeks prior to coming to this institution, I would have answered way differently. There is something about living independently that just changes one's perspective on life. I went from not being able to convey my thoughts at all, partially because I was scared and afraid what people would think, to conveying every single thought and feeling I have on my mind, which is appropriate and relevant, of course. The thing I still struggle with, however, is taking action. I'm a big advocate of taking action and how inaction can harm every person involved. But even sometimes, even I fail to follow through my ideals and commit to inaction. Am I achieving the goals that I set for myself? Definitely not. My short-term goals are starting to feel like my long-term goals right now, which I do not believe is a very great sign. The only thing that keeps me focused and on my daily tasks and that helps me do my daily tasks is my nightly routine of self-reflection that I basically do every night. During my time writing these answers, I've realized that this activity and my nightly routine are not very different. The only difference is that one goes unrecorded and one will stay with me forever for me to read. I often find myself struggling to manage my resources properly, which may be feeding into the fact that I am slow with my tasks. The way I distribute my daily tasks over time is barely ever efficient and always ends up with me doing things last minute. I believe that this is also the reason why the only time I find myself productive and motivated is last minute. To fix these issues, I often find myself referring to YouTube videos and which involve other people or strangers helping me through my struggles. But these guides may be the most irrelevant ones ever because the only thing they manage to accomplish is feeding into the problems I already have. Am I letting the matters that are out of my control stress me out? Yes, I do believe that there are some aspects in life where I can change when it comes to my stress output. In some cases, I often find myself not being able to accept my fate at all, and I feel like it is always a waste of time and energy to be worrying about the things that have already happened or are set to happen. I always try to give my best when it comes to prevention and cause, but my ventures almost always lead me towards a dead end, as if they were never meant to succeed in the first place. Am I employing a healthy perspective? I often like to play this little game where I try to judge whether the person in front of me or the person I'm having conversation with is happy or not. What I've come to realize over the years is that no one can be truly described to be happy, as the meaning of happiness changes from person to person as their perspectives also differ. In my case, I'm only truly happy when I get things done for myself. I believe my perspective also plays a whole huge role in this, because if I had a more concerning mindset that went something like nothing really matters at the scale of the universe, I would barely get anything done. Am I waking up in the morning ready to take on the day? The sole thing that's on my mind while waking up in the morning is the fear of approaching deadlines. It's almost every morning that I feel unmotivated and overwhelmed by everything I need to do. That is why I've come to adopt a strategy where I try to improve myself by 1% each day, so that by the end of the year I can reach greatness. Well, for now, my goals and aspirations all come second in the priority list, and sleeping for another 5 minutes comes first. Am I thinking negative thoughts before I fall asleep? I think that is a yes, but I've learned to divide my negative thoughts into two categories. Ones that help me develop and reflect, and ones that exist for the sole purpose of eating away from me inside. The latter is always the reason behind my sleep deprivation and why I often have a hard time sleeping. These usually involve the conversations and interactions that could have gone better, and the past regrets that I should have forgotten about a long time ago. What I've come to realize is that eliminating these thoughts is actually pretty simple. You just have to choose to not overthink all the time. Self-shaming and thinking negatively won't benefit you as much as thinking positively will. So there is no reason as to why you should be dwelling on thoughts that don't matter. Am I putting enough efforts into my relationships? I don't think I am. No. I often take my happiness as an indicator of whether I am happy with where things stand with my friends and family. But doing this only helps in identifying the problem, not providing a solution. The foremost reason that comes to mind for not being able to put more effort into my relationships is my own routine. I'm at a point in life where every second spent without being productive could be detrimental to my future, and this phase will only ever end when I somehow try to manage my time properly. This phase excuse is something I often use when asked this question because I believe it is most relevant. But I do realize that alongside with working towards my goals and aspirations, I should also be focusing on my relationships. Am I taking care of myself physically? Outside of rushing my bicycle 1.5 kilometers to college every day to the point where my legs start to feel sore, I enjoy doing the weekly yoga sessions as well. But I'm not doing anything apart from that to take care of my body. I often find myself snacking so much that I cannot make room for the actual meal I was supposed to have. This relatively unhealthy lifestyle is one of the things that I strive to change during my time in this institute. Who am I really? According to some, I am a conscious atom. Some would say that I am just a 17-year-old boy among many 17-year-old boys. But I like to believe that I am a human being made of flesh and blood who has developed and acquired the ability to think and wonder. In actual reality, I like to believe that the whole of me is just a work in progress, hoping to someday reach greatness. I'm made up of many emotions, not just the positive ones that I like to portray on the outside. And I often struggle to balance these emotions, but that is just life. What worries me most about the future? I often worry about how uncertain and unpredictable the future can be. But I'm also aware that I should control and take command of every single aspect that I can control. Of course, however, the thing that worries me most about the future right now is my social standing and position in the future and how my relationships will end up like. Additionally, I also worry about my mental health and where my personality would lead me to in the future. But of course, worrying in small amounts can actually be pretty beneficial to you as you start to tread the path in front of you very carefully once you start to worry. If this were the last day of my life, would I have the same plans for today? I don't think so. No. I would firstly ditch all of my workload and rush to spend time with my family and my loved ones. I will try to make as many memories as possible because although they won't stick in the end, they will definitely make a lasting impact. I would take all of the bold steps that I have been delaying for when I have enough courage. I will resolve all the conflicts with my close ones and spend as much joy as possible. I often question to myself why I am not just doing these things right now. Perhaps I am not confident enough. What am I really scared of? If we are talking about non-abstract things, my answer would be definitely insects. I have an irrational fear of them and come close to crying whenever I see an exceptionally big one. If we are talking about abstract things, however, the thing I'm most afraid of right now is losing my social standing and being alienated. Pretty ironic because I actually like to be left alone most of the time. To deal with this fear of mine, I've been actively learning how to hold back my thoughts and exactly what I say out loud to the person I'm having a conversation with. Am I holding on to something I need to let go of? Yes, I think I am. Many past regrets and conversations that could have gone better, and other such things are the feelings I still dwell upon. What I've come to realize, however, is that happiness is inversely proportional to overthinking and dwelling on past regrets. The better I am mentally, the less I think about the past or the future, and the more I liberate myself from dwelling. If not now, then when? This is the exact question I ask myself every time I think of delaying a task. I realize that opportunities can be stripped away from you every time you decide to procrastinate, if they are not acted upon immediately. And taking the first steps can actually push you to take the rest of the steps too. Every time I think of procrastinating, I just give myself that one push needed to get away from my unproductive and comfort space and start doing my work. However, I often stop doing things midway and end up doing them last minute, which I seek to improve about myself. What matters the most in my life? Ironically, the thing that matters the most to me is also the thing I fear to lose. I've always been open minded towards everything and always try new things out. But the time has come when I actually have to start to narrow things down to the thing that's matter to me the most. At the moment, my health and my mental self matter to me the most. I try to maintain and take care of them whenever I get the chance, but I still strive to do better. Mic testing. Hello, hello. Mic testing. That I cannot go on like this. I I realize that I cannot go on. अबे यार कट कर वो नीचे करते जा रहा है लैपटॉप को धीरे धीरे नीचे करते जा रहा है that I end up missing opportunities chance opportunistic ठीक है बोलने क्यों नहीं हो रहा है मेरे को आज खाया नहीं हो क्या मैं कुछ खाया नहीं इसलिए हो रहा है मैं स्टार्टिंग से करूँगा कीड़ा है my short term goals are starting to feel like my long term goals yeah. Either ways you're welcome to watch this कट करो